there, my lovely gardening friends. How are you today? I'm Mark. I'm a biotech geek and your gardening freak. Today, by popular demand, I would like to talk about a subject that makes a lot of headlines, yes, throughout the world that is, and I'm talking about the subject of climate change, yes. And many of my friends and people I know here and there keep asking me, well, Mark, tell me, what's the score about this? Could it be nothing but just another hype? Could it be nothing of real concern? Is it just another fabrication? Is it like a sort of ploy or whatever? So, well, my answer to all of this is, how about no? How about a resounding no? Okay, climate change is real. It happens, and it has happened before, and it will keep happening in the future. It is simply part of the workings of Mother Nature, and it is a very powerful mechanism. We have an idea of the kind of disasters that it can bring, but hey, the living organisms can adapt to that. Okay, so the key word here is adaptation. Another important word is selection. And also another very important keyword here is mutation. So just in order to explain it a little bit, to understand it a little more easily, okay, we can refer to something we know well, like for instance, a motor engine. Okay, so let's compare it to a motor engine. So you have the motor oil plays the role of climate change. The motor itself can be seen as the genetic material of all living things on Earth. Okay, we call this the genome. It is really the makeup, the genetic makeup of any given species you have on the biosphere. Okay, and the fuel, well, what plays the role of fuel is mutation. So mutations happen at random. They happen at random and they are caused by those mutagens. Yes, we know quite a few of them. For instance, well, the pesticides. Those pesticides that they put on broadacre agriculture crops. So there you have one. It is a chemical mutagen. You also have physical mutagens, like for instance cosmic rays from the sky, from the universe. Or you can have also the rays of the sun, like the UV, UV light, UVB, UVC. They are very penetrating and they can induce mutations. Also the X-rays. X-rays from an X-ray machine, for instance. At high dose, it can alter the DNA structure. It can alter the genome. It can create mutations and damages. But the good news about that is that the cell has everything it needs to repair its DNA when it's damaged. Okay, so these mechanisms are very, very well known to science. Okay, and the beauty of it, the beauty of these repair mechanisms is because the DNA molecule is double-stranded. So it has a mirror image of itself, okay? And together it forms a perfectly beautiful symmetrical alpha helix, and this is the store of the genetic material of the cell, and when it is damaged it can be repaired, but sometimes the repairs are not done, so you have the mutation that happens, and that's another important point, okay? A mutation that will transmit itself to the next generation has to happen in the germinal cells of the organism. That is, the reproductive cells, like for instance the ova, or the fertilized egg. This is another cell which is part of the reproductive system. The somatic cells, well, they are part of the body of the organism itself, and very obviously they cannot transmit their information to the next generation, very obviously. So when mutations happen at random, well, they can confer a specific trait, and this trait can be an advantage of the mutant organism to environmental conditions or living conditions that are always changing. Like, for instance, the climate, the drought, or any type of climate at all. If it's dry, if it's cold, or whatever, I mean, the organism can adapt, and it takes years and years and years and years for that. So this is the mechanism of what we call neo-Darwinism, okay? The basic mechanism is this. It is the origin of species through natural selection and induced by those mutations that happen at random in the genetic makeup of the organism. And then you have selection, and you have adaptation, and then you have speciation and evolution. So it takes millennia, but it works. And the first observer of nature who has seen and understood all this was Mr. Charles Darwin. Yes, he went across the globe. He traveled the world and the 7 seas and 3 oceans and 3 continents, and he came back to England with a treasure trove of specimens and drawings and very carefully well written notes. So he took years to write his famous text, his book called The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. And very unfortunately, this text was not received very well by Queen Victoria. No, she was not amused, because one of the conclusions of this text, or these findings, is that the humans had a common ancestor that was an ape. Just figure how Queen Victoria was scandalized by learning that, so she politely dismissed Mr. Darwin's writing by saying, well, it may look a little complicated for the common man to understand all this. And well, I mean, she put the action to her words. I mean, Darwin was never knighted, but his contribution to science was absolutely considerable. Well, anyway, this is it for now. Please share those videos, because we have to make sure that the message of urban agriculture, organic culture, organic gardening without the use of pesticides or chemical compounds, food sovereignty, local food production, and food resiliency is spread throughout the cyberspace, because it is a very, very interesting and effective way to adapt to climate change. There you have it. The circle is all buckled up. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for sharing those videos, and we will see each other very soon. Have a great day now. Thank you.